Godzilla is now in New York City.
Monster 01 and 02, commence the attack.
Welcome back to Stomp This Way. This week we dove deep into the obscure...
Into the archives.
And we dug up a movie called Half Human. Which, you know, was
it's half something.
The original Japanese cut was only available as a bootleg I found on eBay.
Oh, no, Aaron, say it right. It's a bootleg of a bootleg.
Well, maybe. But some alternate titles. I've seen the Japanese title translated in two different ways. I saw it translated as Monster Snowman or as Beastman Snowman. But that doesn't really roll off the tongue. So we're going to go with Monster Snowman. International Snowman? International title was simply Snowman. And an alternate American title was Half Human, The Story of the Abominable Snowman. Lots of snowman.
It's half something.
Yeah, indeed it is. But some quick making of facts, I guess. Part of a group of films inspired by Eric Shipton's famous photographs of large footprints on Mount Everest in 1951. First draft of the script was completed on October 16th of 1954. Production began in November of that year under the title Snowman of the Alps. Ooh. Honda was forced to delay production when Eiji Tsuburaya got busy working on Godzilla Raids Again. Half Human finally resumed filming in June of 1955 and wrapped in July. The film ended up being pulled by Toho because of the depiction of the indigenous islanders. In the mid-90s, Toho prepared a VHS release of the film, but in the end decided not to release it. The bootleg we watched, allegedly, is a transfer of that VHS tape.
Allegedly.
It still had the timestamp on it. First non-Godzilla kaiju film produced by Toho. Masaru Sato's score was all recorded in one day on July 25th, 1955. Wow. It is rumored that the suit for the snowman may have been recycled as Kong's suit in the original King Kong vs. Godzilla.
I could see that. I
could see it, although that would have been a pretty large gap between those two movies. I didn't think those suits held up that long, but...
I guess when you only wear it once, you just shove it in storage.
Yeah, but anyway, I didn't have any box office information because, you know, this movie...
It doesn't exist?
It barely exists at all. So it was released on... Or I don't know if they actually got it released and then pulled it, or if it was supposed to be released on August 14th of 1955. I don't really know.
It's one of those two.
Yeah, one of those two. But anyway, we're going to watch a trailer, and then we're going to come back and discuss this movie. So see you in a bit.
Half Human is the fantastic motion picture record of the search for the mountain creature of Asia, whose name has become a symbol of terror and mystery. The abominable snowman. This is the claw that reaches out to kill. And this is the footprint in the snow, so astounding that scientific laboratories throughout the world are rocked by its startling impact.
This is a mold taken from the footprint found outside the cabin door. By measuring the width, the length, and the depth of the print, their composite picture described the species as being 9 feet tall and weighing around 1,800 pounds.
What did Tanaka say?
Well, he was convinced in his mind that the hair follicle was closer to that of man than to that of any other animal known to exist.
Now you can follow the relentless pursuit of the half-human monster, whose earth-rocking fury broke the torturing bonds of his civilized tormentors. Half human, he learned the terrifying power of fire over the natives who worshipped him. Half human, he set off an avalanche of destruction against the invaders of his mountain kingdom. Half human, he still felt the surging need for human love.
All right, we're back.
Huh?
This film has a few familiar names attached to it.
I don't know any of these names.
Directed by Ishiro Honda.
Who?
Written by Takeo Murata and Shigeru Kayama.
Not a clue.
Music by Masaru Sato.
Never heard
Effects
that
by Eiji Tsuburaya. And starring Akira Takarada, Akimi Nagishi, Momoko Kochi, Nobuo Nakamura, Sachio Sakai,
No way.
Kokuten Kodo.
Sure.
My contacts are unfocusing on me.
Happens.
Yoshio Kodo, Fuminori Ohashi, and
The snowman.
as the Snowman, and then Takashi Ito as Snow Child. That's how he was credited, Snow Child.
Takashi Ito. Have we heard that name before?
It sounds familiar, yes.
It does.
But I don't know who it is off the top of my head now.
Not a clue.
Anyway, Dylan, I basically had to reread Wikipedia for this plot because I didn't remember anything that happened because we watched this movie like an hour ago. But
If that tells you anything about how we feel about this movie.
how we're gonna go with this movie. But anyway, read off this plot summary that I condensed off Wikipedia.
Condensed.
Yes, Wikipedia has every single detail. Somebody was very meticulous.
I don't know why. When a group of college students go skiing in the Japanese Alps, disaster strikes when 2 of their friends are found dead and a third is missing. The only hint of what happened are large footprints left behind in the snow. With their weather making a search mission impossible, they return to Tokyo until the snow thaws. 6 months later, the friends make their way back into the Alps. However, one night, an ape-like creature wakes them from their slumber. One of the students chases after him but falls down a ravine and is beaten by an animal broker and his companions. He is taken by the locals who distrust outsiders because they don't want their quote-unquote master or the abominable snowman found. But the animal broker cons a young village girl into leading them to the creature. They capture it, but its son helps to set it free. In the chaos, the smaller ape is shot and killed, and the adult goes on a rampage and destroys the village. He also kidnaps a young woman traveling with the college students. The village girl takes the remaining skiers into the cave where they find their missing friend's journal, which reveals the ape tried to save him, but he was too weak to eat and starved to death. They are able to save the young woman the snowman took, and the creature falls into a boiling sulfur pit after being shot. In the final scene, the hikers tell their story to a curious journalist as credits roll.
Ooh, it actually starts with these journalists. The whole movie's a flashback. And it starts with the journalist asking them, and then, it comes back around to it at the end of the movie. But anyway, so Dylan, I mean, obviously, this is the first time that any of us had watched this movie.
Yeah.
I'll admit I was very intrigued to see it because of its quote-unquote banned status or obscure status. This is not a movie you're going to find on any street corner to watch. But
Can't go down to my local Blockbuster and buy this one?
you can't go down to any local Blockbuster because that does not exist
Unless
anymore.
you live in Oregon.
Unless you live in Oregon, because somebody bought the rights to use that name as a joke, I think. But anyway. But yeah, unfortunately, this movie it just doesn't seem like that Toho really paid much attention to it. Didn't really give it the funding it needed.
Did not seem like anyone put any effort into this movie whatsoever, including Ishiro Honda.
I will say this. I think there are some... I mean, I know there's very little on-location filming.
Definitely not the writers.
I think Ishiro Honda has some solid shots in the early goings of this movie of them in the mountains skiing and things. I don't think this is... just from a technical perspective, considering, taking away all the cheesy effects and everything, I don't think this is a terribly shot movie by Ishiro Honda. But yes, the writers... They didn't do this movie any favors.
Nope, they did not.
And I'll be completely honest, Dylan and I think really only half paid attention to this movie.
Well, if you only half paid attention, I don't know how much I paid attention. Because we were talking most of the time. Aaron and I pretty much carried on a conversation throughout the entire movie. That's how interested we were in this.
Yeah. I tried to read the subtitles while I was talking to Dylan.
I tried to read the subtitles while I was talking to you. I just was not interested
Like,
in
for
what was
instance,
happening.
that Wikipedia plot cleared up a big issue I had because, like, in one scene, there was a bunch of snow on the ground, and then, like, in the next scene...
You're like, wait, where'd the snow go?
I was like, where'd the snow go? Apparently, I missed the scene, or
Where they
scenes,
returned to Tokyo.
where they returned to Tokyo, and there was a 6-month gap. So that tells you how much I paid attention to this movie. So maybe we should not be the ones to review this movie, but no.
I think that just goes to show how much this movie is lacking in the writing department. It has no characters that you really care about in any form or fashion. I couldn't even tell you what any of their names were.
No.
Granted, I didn't pay attention that well. I think I remember one person's name was Gin or Jin, spelled Gen.
Yeah, Gin, I think it's pronounced. Yeah, because it's easy to remember.
and
I remember
then
the one that was kidnapped was like Takashi or Takaji or something like that.
Something like that. I think that's about it.
But, it's got good actors. Like, these are all, like, classic Toho actors that I really like. Akira Takarada, Momoko Kochi, who played Emiko in the original Godzilla movie. I recognize several of the faces in this movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, the creative team behind this movie is a creative team that we've loved a lot of at least I loved a lot of their movies.
I mean, Ishiro Honda and Eiji Tsuburaya, you put those two together, usually they come up with something pretty good.
Something watchable.
I mean, I guess the writing is just where it really fell flat.
Yeah, and Masaru Sato is
I'm going to go ahead and assume that they probably did not have much time to put this script together.
Well, it looks like, let's see.
It says it was inspired, like right here on this making of, it says, it was inspired by these photographs from 1951, but the first draft was completed in 54.
Yeah.
But they didn't finish filming until July of 55.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
But they paused, they had to pause production because Eiji Tsuburaya had to film...
Which probably didn't help.
Raids Again, and then they came back to it later. So it was probably kind of disjointed, kind of all over the place, and probably by the time they got back around to it, they kind of had to kind of rush through it. But yeah, the script is just bad. I mean, it's very bland. These characters, we have this basic plot like of these college students going to the Alps, but the characters are very bland. The movie is very scatterbrained. It doesn't focus on a main character really.
Nope. But you know what this movie doesn't have?
What?
Long extended boardroom sequences.
That's true.
True, but it replaces them with long extended
sequences of people sitting around discussing,
sitting around a
things.
campfire and tents talking about dumb stuff. And it is I forgot the exact minute mark, but it's over half an hour, I believe, or right at a half an hour before we see the ape creature.
Something like
snowman.
that. Like somewhere around
32 minutes
30 something
or
minutes.
something for an hour 35 minute movie. Which is
a little late.
Which is a little late. Which, although we'll get to creature design and effects, so maybe it's a good thing we don't. But once we do see it, I guess we do see it quite a bit.
It plays a pretty major role in the movie after that.
But yeah, it's just very boring, unfortunately. So I mean, once they do see, their friend gets kidnapped, or two of them are dead, and their friend gets kidnapped. Unfortunately, we don't know about these characters. Really care whether they're dead or kidnapped or whatever, but. And they go on this search, and then apparently there was a time gap, and they came back. I missed that part, whatever. And they search some more, and there's this subplot about these. I get the whole reason this movie got banned. These indigenous mountain people, and this portrayal of these indigenous people. I guess they're like in this movie they're like indigenous to the Alps, and they're
like,
I guess
if you relate them to an American culture, they're portrayed as like the very stereotypical, generic, like, hillbilly people you see in, like, really crappy movies from America.
Or, like, Deliverance, the inbreds.
But worse.
They are... There's a couple
like some snaggletooth, real dirty, scraggly-looking individuals.
They worship abominable snowman.
Abominable snowman. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not anything worse than something that's been put to American film.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm surprised that in the 1950s that someone was offended. I guess I read that at the time these people were seen, or this portrayal was seen as they were seen as like stand-ins for some indigenous islanders. That apparently at the time of this movie was made, it was a very politically hot topic about the portrayal or racist portrayal of these peoples in the media. So that's why Toho pulled the film. I think Toho voluntarily pulled the film. I don't think they were forced to pull it, although I might be wrong about that.
Maybe they just thought...
Anyway.
Maybe they just thought Ishiro Honda's movie was a little racist.
Maybe Ishiro Honda was a raging racist, and we just don't know it. But, yeah, I mean, they're in the movie, and they don't want the people here because they don't want their god master thing. They call it master in the subtitles.
They do call it master. They worship it, I guess, kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's going on, and then we have this. They call him an animal broker in the Wikipedia subplot. They say something about a carnival runner, I think, towards the end of the movie. He's wanting to capture this creature for profit, obviously. He's kind of got the the Carl Dunham from King Kong role. I don't know why I said Jack Black. He was like the last person to play Carl Dunham. But anyway, he just wants him for profit or whatever. Wants to take him back to the mainland. And so that's going on. So there's several different groups of people in this movie. I don't really care about any of them or what's going on.
Not really.
They
There's a older man that is kind of like the leader of this group of indigenous people, and he gets killed at one point.
Oh yeah, but before that, he puts several beatings on his granddaughter. One of the
young girl that helps
girl.
the carnival guy.
Yeah,
he like beats the crap out of her multiple times for this
one time he
grabs a stick and starts beating her
starts
with it.
Wailing on her. It's like, damn.
Like, was that in her contract? Or?
Now, I will, unfortunately, for this movie, every fight scene
it's horrible.
Is terrible. Every punch misses the target by a good foot and a half. And, it's very, very poorly staged fight scenes. But whatever. But yeah, so, eventually, the creature shows up and he terrorizes he sneaks up on the campers one night and freaks them out. And then he, gets captured and his son gets shot trying to save him. And then he goes on a rampage.
And then he's angry.
And he burns down the village. And then he kidnaps Momoko Kochi's character.
Because he's angry.
And then the college kids that are left have to go in the cave and hunt him down.
And they find their one friend that was missing. They found out he died. And then from his journals, they find out that the ape guy's actually, he's a good guy.
He brought him food, but he wasn't strong enough to eat the food. Although he was strong enough to write a whole journal about it. But whatever. But they save Momoko Kochi and they shoot the creature and it falls into a sulfur pit. And it kind of has its King Kong moment.
The end.
I guess. The end. There's a lot of extra stuff that goes down there, I guess.
Nah, it's not important because it doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
It's like whatever. I was over this movie by that point. But yeah, I just think, I think we're just kind of all in agreement. It's very boring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very boring.
Very lackluster. Mm-hmm. For the supposed controversy that surrounds it, you figure it'd be a more interesting movie. Like, Aaron walks up to me, he's like, okay, we're watching this movie, Half Human, alright? Yeah. It's an Ishiro Honda movie from the 50s. I'm like, okay, interesting. He's like, yeah, it was banned in Japan. I was like, interesting. Banned. I wonder what for. Not as intriguing as you may think.
No, I mean, a couple of these scenes with these indigenous people were kind of like funny in a bad way. Like when he's beating up on the young girl, and then like we said, the hillbilly betrayal of him. But
it's nothing. It's nothing anywhere any worse than something that's been put to film throughout the many years following.
I mean, yeah, it's really no worse.
We've probably seen worse
than the Islanders and like some of those Mothra movies or something, or King Kong versus Godzilla. The Islanders. That
the blackface on the Asian people.
The blackface and just how goofy they acted at times. Yeah, so I mean,
it's not really any worse than that.
It's not really any worse than that. But yeah, so it doesn't help that this is a bootleg, and so the film is grainy.
Yeah, but we can talk about that in effects.
But let's just get into creature design. This ape suit is cheap. I mean, cheap.
Cheap probably doesn't describe it. I think I could go down to my local Walmart during Halloween and buy a better ape costume.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean,
you've seen the ape costume in SpongeBob, right? Okay, that's better.
It's about on par at the very least. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Very.
And the child is just as unfortunate.
Of course, again, the graininess and quality of this bootleg does not do it any favors, I imagine.
It actually might help.
For all we know, it could help.
I think it actually helps some of the effects.
Could you imagine if this was on some sort of like Blu-ray transfer?
Some of these effects that we'll talk about.
We'd be like,
let's just go ahead and talk about the effects. I think definitely the graininess helps some, especially some of the matting.
I imagine it hides some of the matting and wire.
There's still some scenes
There's some
really
stop
bad.
motion.
That's really
That's
bad.
horrible.
There's some
yeah.
like when
There's
Akira Takarada.
one specific shot that is absolutely atrocious.
Well, that's not really stop motion. That the scene where he's picking up.
Yeah,
the guy,
where he's picking up the guy and
He's
he
like-
picks him up over his head.
They
He,
somehow matted the
he
guy.
turns into a matted guy in this ape guy's hands, and then he tosses him off, and he instantaneously turns into a dummy, and then the dummy cartwheels down this cliff, and
And
you're
then-
like, oh,
I think it's a rear projection shot when Akira Takarada is dangling off the cliff when he's tied on the rope, and these you said these little bats. They're on. I think they're on strings.
some of them are definitely on sticks.
Dylan
'cause
thinks they're on
they're-
sticks.
some of the ones toward the
Yeah.
front of the shot look
Yeah.
like someone was probably down in front of the camera and had little bitty little bat things on sticks. Or
Yeah. I mean, the fact that the footage is so grainy, you can't really see the wires, but you can tell they're on wires because they're so fake looking.
oh, it's horrible.
And-
Almost none of them flap. They're just
Yeah.
stiff, little rubber, paper, cardboard
Yeah.
cutouts or something like that.
And
a couple times they have one that flaps around or something.
And then there's some of the scenes where I mean, they have actual skiers in the distance shots, but the up close shots of the actors.
And then the matting of the ski
They're-
and going down the mountain.
Yeah.
Is absolutely.
Now, I will say, in this movie's defense, I don't think that James Bond movie where they're skiing is any better, really. But yeah, that was unfortunate. But yeah, so effects, not good.
Bad.
And then finally, score. I will actually say
It's actually not bad.
probably this. I mean, obviously, Masaru Sato is a true blue professional. He knows what he's considering that I don't know how long he had to write this, but considering that they had to record this
Record it in a day.
And I mean, there's not a whole lot. There's a lot of this movie without music for that
But
reason.
the main theme toward the
But,
beginning of the film
yeah.
is pretty nice.
good.
I like it.
And then the theme when he dies at the end. I mean, it's kind of King Kong-esque, but it's pretty good. I think Masaru Sato, he did his job to try his best.
He probably
to
tried the hardest
liven
out
up
of
this
everybody.
movie. Yeah. So that's impressive.
But
So,
yeah, the score is actually probably the bright shining moment in this film.
Yeah. Oh man, but
Yeah.
y'all ready to get on to final thoughts and watch this Arizona Seattle game?
Yes.
Well, let's do it.
Andrew?
Would you like to start?
Well, this movie is not the best movie we've seen so far. The effects are not good. The movie is lackluster most of the time. The score? Nah, pretty good actually for this movie. The saving moment in it. But, the suits are cheaply made and it's just lackluster. I think I'm gonna give this movie D.
A D, Dylan. What do you think?
Nothing about this movie is really that good. I will give you, Ishiro Honda looks like he kind of tried with some of the cinematography. And then Masaru Sato's score is actually pretty decent. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know what happened. If it has to do with the random time breaks that they had in between this filming of this movie that caused something, whatever happened. But it feels disconjointed and just kind of all over the place for a large majority of the film. It's boring. There are no characters that you care about. The effects are pretty much god-awful. The suits look atrocious. It's just not good all the way around. I don't know what happened. I mean, you'd think with this creative team behind it, you'd find something better, but it definitely shows they definitely did not have the money to create this film that they would have on, probably way less than even the original Godzilla film.
Oh yeah, this is obviously way cheaper than that movie.
This is 1,000 times cheaper. It's probably a minuscule budget. I mean, it's like $10. But just everything about it just feels cheap and like there was no passion or effort put into it. I will give it credit for the score, and I'll give it credit for Ishiro Honda trying to have decent cinematography, but I'm gonna give it a D-.
Oh, I thought you were gonna give it an F.
I'm not gonna give it an F. I'll be nicer. I'll give it that extra little bump for the score and Ishiro Honda's effort.
It's like, damn, I was gonna have to hunt down that sound effect again. All right, well, yeah, I agree with you guys. I think.
Oh, you better find it. I'm sure we'll have one soon.
Yeah, I'm sure it's coming up pretty soon. I think this movie's biggest drawback, just like in general terms, is the size of the creature. At least a lot of Ishiro Honda's other outings, even if the movie was bad or cheap, we could enjoy some giant rubber-suited monsters stomping through some model cities. because the creature is basically human sized in this, which
Maybe
obviously
slightly larger.
I mean, he's like your general like giant abominable snowman size or whatever. I mean, obviously that was probably helped with the budget, but I mean it prevents you from having those monster destruction sequences that would make an otherwise bad movie for at least a nerd like me somewhat entertaining. So,
or provide the more menacing aspects of having this large towering creature that can destroy things.
Yeah. So and the creature's not even evil. He's just
upset.
He's upset at the end, so he burns down. He like destroys the village and by having chance burns it down.
I would almost say that this leader of the indigenous peoples is probably more evil than this abominable snowman. The way he beats his niece or granddaughter or whatever.
Definitely. So this movie, like I said, the suits are cheap. The production values are practically non-existent. It doesn't help that the characters are completely flat and they're not interesting at all. Despite the fact that there's a lot of talented actors in this movie, there's a lot of talented people behind the camera in this movie, but it did not come together. There's part of me that almost wants to give it a bump for like the fact that it's a band movie and it's so obscure and we have to watch a bootleg version of it because no other version exists. But I'm gonna push that aside and just grade this as a movie. But I'm going to agree with you, Dylan. It's a D-. It's bad. I mean, Sato's score is definitely the best part of it, but even that's not just phenomenal.
It's
the
quote-unquote bright shining star.
Yeah. Movie?
Film? Movie?
But
Instead of moving pictures with writing?
I've heard that the American cut is worse, if that's possible. They cut in scenes of American scientists or something. That never seems to work out. So I don't have any news. I didn't really look because we were kind of in a rush to record this episode, but I don't think anything really major has happened.
We're trying to watch the Seahawks game.
We're trying to watch the Seahawks because I love Kyler Murray, my OU man. So, got to watch him beat down on those.
It's not working out for him right now.
No, not going too great. But anyway, other than that, I think next week we have Gamera versus Viras, and then we have the giant Gila monster, and then we'll go on from there.
And then some other stuff.
But I think
after the giant Gila monster, I want to say is
Gamera versus Giron, I believe. Is that the fifth one, Andrew? Mm-hmm. I think it is.
And then by that point, we have to be getting close to probably, I would assume, the end of the year. Maybe Monster Hunter would be the next movie.
Monster Hunter will be our next new release, assuming it will come out still. So
it's at least going to come out on VOD,
yeah. So we'll be watching that. That'll be exciting.
Trash. What?
But other than that, Dylan, why don't you tell them about our YouTube channel?
We do have a YouTube channel. We actually are being active. Kind of. It's coming. Don't worry. Aaron and I sat down with Andrew accompanying us, of course. He doesn't record YouTube videos with us, but we all sat down and watched Interstellar to continue our Christopher Nolan retrospective, if you want to call it that. We sat down and struggled to record a YouTube video and got it done. So keep a lookout for that coming soon. We will also probably try to finish out our Christopher Nolan retrospective this month with Dunkirk. Mm-hmm. Keep a lookout for something special for Christmas next month, as well as a series that we have planned for next month. And then stay tuned for the new year. But the name of that channel is DNA Film Reviews. Mm-hmm. So if you want to watch us, I guess.
Yeah, and Andrew and I are doing our best. We had 10 more episodes after that last movie we brought it to you guys. We've watched 5 of them. We're going to watch the last 5 and then get that third Cosmos movie out to you guys pretty soon, hopefully before the end of the month. And then, like we said, we're going to watch the Godzilla animated series and do a rehash episode over that. But if you want to contact us concerning this podcast, you can contact us at stompthisway1954@gmail.com.
Yes, you can. And if you want to follow us on social media, we're up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We are at Stomp This Way on all those platforms. So make sure you give us a like or a follow, and be sure to tell your friends about us.
That's right. We also have a website. Andrew, where can they find that website?
Well, they can find that website at www.stompthisway.podbean.com.
This is accurate.
Yes, and Dylan, what do we have over there?
Things such as a schedule, subject to change, of course.
Of course.
On that schedule, you can also see grades for our previous films that we've reviewed. You can also find backlogged episodes and whatever news Aaron decides to keep us updated with, which I'm assuming is probably lacking at this moment in time.
A little bit lacking at this moment in time, but
it has news.
It has news and links. So, that being said, I think that's all we got for you this week. As always, thank you for listening. I'm Aaron.
I'm in.
And I'm Dylan, and we'll catch you in the next one.
暗い夜の帳が消える朝が来たら眠りから覚めてほしいの私の小さ星の浜辺で待っているの小さ力強く青いコラルを越えて頬の涙を拭いておくれ私の胸で燃えている燃えている小さ小さ小さキングシー暗い夜の帳が消える朝が来たら眠りから覚めてほしいの私の小さヤシの葉陰で待っているの小さ力強く赤いレイを塗って私の願い聞いておくれ私